Now, back to Hodge Podge with Carol McCarthy on KDLM Detroit Lakes.
All right, welcome back to Hodge Podge. We're going to talk to Tara Getter from Pelican River Watershed District. She is standing by, Executive Director of the Watershed District. Also, Rayna Zima from TV3. We'll go to her, talk about some of the things going on TV3, upcoming programming. She's been working hard during these days of COVID, getting some updated programs on our local show. Good morning, Rayna.
Good morning, Carol.
Welcome to Hodge Podge. So tell us a little bit about what you've been working on.
Yeah, it's been a little different since we can't get out and shoot, although we have started shooting some of our programs. I just shot with Sandy Gunderson yesterday, and I've been shooting at the Backyard Station in Frazee. And then I also shot with Matt Koffenberg at Back in Motion Physical Therapy, and of course practicing social distancing and everything. But I'm super excited because last May, Erica and I had kind of talked about doing this and reaching out to authors and other people that, we find interest in their jobs. And we had we tested Zoom and everything. And then we got busy with our road trip and it never happened. So now with COVID and I'm in the office, I've reached out to a couple authors and have gotten interviews with them, or they've said they'd do interviews. And so last night, I talked with Noelle Salazar, and she's the author of The Flight Girls, which is a book about the Women Air Force Service Pilots program that took place during World War II. And she was great, and it was fun to hear why she wrote that book. And I've read that book, and it's a historical fiction, and it kind of follows this main woman in her journey through the WASP program and then after she graduates, and it's great. And I enjoyed talking with Noelle. She felt compelled to write this book based off seeing pictures of this Women Air Force Service Pilots program, which no one's ever really heard of, and myself included. So I'm super excited to be working on that. I don't know if it will air next week. I'm still working on editing it, being I just shot it last night. But look for that within either next week or the following week.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, and then also the end of May, I have another interview with another historical fiction author, Jody Headland. I've read quite a few of her books. She has a series called the Beacons of Hope series, which is the setting. It takes place with lighthouses, and I've always been kind of interested in that. I remember going to a lighthouse in Oregon, and you kind of romanticize it. It's like, oh, that must have been cool to live there. and so in the book, she kind of talks about some of the hardships and also about the women who worked there. And a lot of her characters are kind of based off real characters and the hardships that they had and how, some of them were extremely qualified to be running these lighthouses, but they wouldn't let them do it because they weren't a man. And so I just find that kind of history really interesting, and I just like history, and so I'm going to be talking to her about that series and some of her other books. So
it's more of her story.
I guess.
All right. So that's great. So some authors chatting with. I mean, this Zoom nation we've become opens up some more venues, I'm sure, for local television programming. It's kind of nice to be able to do this, and thank goodness for that technology to be able to, go talk to people who are hundreds, if not thousands of miles away and bring it right here in Detroit Lakes. And it's great that we have the venue to do that on TV3, our local TV programming. So you can still see all the local programs on TV3, and in addition, some author interviews that they're working on, and continuing with the regular programming.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's one other I wanted to talk about. I have to look at my notes because Erica is doing an interview with the author Rick Carson, and he wrote a book called Taming Your Gremlin. And it's very appropriate for these days where we're all feeling a little stressed. And it's a book about helping you become more mindful. And it's also to, kind of find that inner peace during turmoil and chaos. So she's going to be talking about that with him about that. And he's going to talk about, making the feeling of your inner peace your number one priority. So hopefully he can give some tips on that, which I'll be tuning in for that one.
He's a day short on that one for me. So, all right. So that's good. So that's wonderful. Tune into TV3 and check out all the local programming and some of the latest and greatest from our local producers here, and continuing on with our coverage. And I know that you also air some of our Hodge Podge shows on TV3 as well, now that we are able to do the Zoom filming, and we continue to provide you some of the local connection as we get updates from our local leaders too.
Yep, absolutely. And, some of our local programs are also doing it via Zoom, Backstage Pass with Kim Betcher and Amy Stearns. So we've been doing that. And the library, Greta this week is talking about Hoopla, which is an awesome, I have that app, and it's another way of downloading free ebooks and audiobooks and movies and TV shows. So she talks about that, and they're doing a curbside pickup now. So Danelle is going to be talking about that next week. So.
All right. So when you speak to your authors, are you an ebook or a regular book aficionado?
I sometimes have 3 books going at one time. I love to read. So I do a lot of Overdrive app, and so that's an ebook. And then I love audiobooks when I'm driving, so I have an audiobook going at the same time typically, And then I like the hard or the paper book. There's something about that. Although as I get older, my wrists hurt, and so it's hard to hold the book.
Give a little prop. All right, good to know. Rayna Zima from TV3, thank you so much for coming and sharing all this information about our local TV station.
Yeah, thank you, Carol. And then if you can't get TV3, if you don't get that channel, you can access it online at lakestv3.com, and you can go into their archives and find the current shows, and this author series will probably be under the show Extra.
Okay. All right, and who do we have there?
This is Ruby.
I know who Ruby is. But I wanted to introduce you to everybody.
8.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Rayna and Ruby. Have a good weekend, and thanks for joining us on Hodge Podge this Friday morning. And we will take a really quick break and be back with Tara Getter from Pelican River Watershed District next on Hodge Podge.